Hello and welcome to this joint IFL licensing and open access programs webinar with Lucy Barnes, who is an editor and outreach coordinator at Open Book Publishers. And thanks a lot, Lucy, for joining us today, and thank you all for joining our webinar. So Lucy will talk about open access publishing, open access book publishing, and also about Open Book Publishers Library Membership Program. Lucy is also involved in a couple of collaborative projects on open access book publishing. So one of them is community-led open publication infrastructure for monographs, COPIM, and another one is scholar-led, a consortium of 5 scholar-led not-for-profit open access books publishers. And Lucy will talk about this as well. So for the webinar, I suggest that Lucy will talk and then take questions. Please type your questions either in a Q&A functionality or in a chat, and we'll monitor them, and Lucy will answer questions and we'll share slides, and we're recording the session, so we'll also share recording. And thanks, and over to you, Lucy.
Okay, so thank you for inviting me to speak. Sorry about the technical glitches just there at the beginning. So my name is Lucy Barnes, and I'm an editor and outreach coordinator at Open Book Publishers. And as was just mentioned, OBP is also part of 2 other groups called Scholar-Led and COPIM. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those as well. So Open Book Publishers is a world-leading independent open access book publisher. We're not for profit, so any money that we make goes back into the publication of more open access books. We're run by academics based in Cambridge, UK, and all our books are rigorously peer-reviewed, and we don't charge authors to publish. So what that means is, you might have heard that a lot of open access books are funded by the author paying, similar to the APC with article publishing. But at OBP, we don't charge authors. We ask them if they are able to source any funding to contribute to the costs. But if they're not able, that's fine. The only thing that determines whether or not we publish the book is the peer review process. And I'm going to talk a bit today about a couple of different things. I'm going to talk about our library membership program, which is something that we've been in partnership with IFL. We want to extend to IFL libraries. So I want to talk a bit about what that involves and what benefits member libraries get from that membership. I want to talk a bit more broadly about our books, about the different editions that we have, about why reader numbers and sort of geographical distribution of readers is important to us with open access books, and about the sort of global research that we aim to publish. And then after that, I want to talk a little bit about those 2 organisations, Scholar-Led and COPIM, and the future of open access books, and how we hope that those 2 organisations are going to contribute to that future. So we have been discussing with IFL extending our library membership for free to IFL libraries in non-OECD countries, and so that's something which should be set up and ready to go now. So the library membership program is something that we normally charge libraries for. It's part of how we manage to support ourselves without charging authors to publish. But it's something that, you know, we think has benefits to the libraries as well, and it's something that through IFL we wanted to extend to the member libraries of IFL. And so all the libraries, I think, in those countries on the screen there, I think should be part of this. And I've been told that this is 1,058 libraries so far. And what it basically involves in terms of the practicalities is, I believe IFL has sent us the IP addresses for these libraries. So we add them on our system as member libraries, and therefore the benefits of the membership are applied whenever anyone from that library network visits our website. Then you should be able to access those benefits. So those benefits, crucially. So some of the benefits of the membership scheme. So basically, it gives you more access to our books. So all of our books are available open access. Every book is available in multiple editions. The PDF edition, the HTML edition, and the XML edition, those are all completely free to access to everybody all over the world, whether you're a member library or not. Those editions are all free to access. But we also we produce other editions as well. So we produce ebook editions in EPUB and MOBI files. And we also publish paperback and hardback editions. And we charge for those editions. The charges are really reasonable in comparison with other academic publishers, but the sales are an important revenue stream for us to enable us to continue to publish. Buyers rented that ebook, that e-course for free. So apply a discount on paperback and hardback editions. Library purchasing, you know, say you wanted to purchase 20 books or whatever it might be, you would get a 20% discount on that purchase. And then individual users who are in your library on using your internet, they're also eligible for discounts, and that's 15%. And so when you're on our website, for the member libraries, there's a banner that appears at the top of the screen, which basically just says that this library, in partnership with Eiffel, is part of Open Books library membership program, and that provides you with free ebook downloads and discounted prices for all of our titles. And I'll show you a bit more about what the actual screen looks like and that kind of thing later. And the other benefits that you get for this membership, you get personalized usage statistics for each library. So that gives you basically a sense of, are your library users taking advantage of this membership? You know, are they reading loads of books? Is there one or two that are getting a lot of attention? And you also get MARC records. So that metadata can then go into your catalogue if MARC is a format for you, and can enable you to ingest our books into your library catalogue and make that easier for you. So now I want to talk a little bit more broadly about open access books, partly about why we believe in them, and partly about why we want to see open access books taken up much more widely as a way to publish academic work. So this is the traditional model. You know, is that you publish a book in physical copies, which will sell on average now 200 to 400. They tend to be priced at £80 to £120, which is a big reason why they only sell 200 to 400 copies. They're mostly bought by university libraries, and I should also say probably mostly bought by wealthy university libraries, because obviously with the best one in the world, when you've got books at that price, you aren't necessarily going to be able to invest in a massive collection of them unless you are a wealthy university library. And the other issue with this traditional model is logistical, because if you've got a physical book and say we publish it in the UK and it's printed in the UK, then it obviously has to be shipped. If another person in another country wants to buy it, you know, you've got issues of cost there, you've got issues of environmental impact, which we're increasingly concerned about. And you've also just got the issue of the infrastructure. You know, not every country has a hugely efficient postal service, which is going to transfer these books safely to their destination. So all these things are issues with the traditional model as we see it. And open access obviously gives you a huge number of more readers. Is viewed on average 400 times in a single month. So you'll bear in mind I said that each book is bought, between 200 to 400 copies are bought of a closed access monograph. So if you think, you know, compared to 400 times in a single month, that's quite a difference in terms of you know, potential readers. And obviously our books, they're not going to go out of print. So we don't publish print runs of our printed editions. It's print on demand. So they're available to be printed whenever somebody wants a copy. And obviously they're available online and they're available on multiple platforms. So even if we went bust, they're available on other platforms. They're archived in various locations, both online and offline. So, you know, these books you're not going to be able to, not find one in 50 years time. And available everywhere with an internet connection. So this is both more equitable and more convenient. So it's much fairer if you've got free access and the only thing you need is an internet connection. A lot more people are going to be able to read these books. And as I've said, it kind of circumvents those logistical problems, which I was talking about. So we try to make our books accessible on multiple platforms. This is one of the benefits of open access, is we don't have to limit people to a particular channel, which they then have to pay to get through. Because it's open access, anybody basically can host. So our website is an obvious place to come if you want to access them. This is where the MARC records that are part of the library membership would send you if they were ingested into your catalogue. And this is also where your members, or your users, can access the benefits of the membership. So if you wanted to get the free ebook editions that I mentioned and the discounts on the physical editions, you wouldn't be able to get them anywhere except for our website. And our website, we like people to come to our website when they can, because a lot of our books have additional resources and things like that, which are accessible on our website and aren't necessarily accessible elsewhere. But we do also send our books out to as many different platforms as we can, and some of the key ones are here. So we've got the Directory of Open Access Books and the OAPEN Library. They're both not-for-profit infrastructures that host huge amounts of open access books, not just ours, of course. So I think between them, they have tens of thousands of open access books, including textbooks and academic books on multiple different subjects. Then there's Open Edition, which, you may well be aware of these places, but just in case you're not. Open Edition is a platform, I think, for monographs in the humanities and social sciences and edited collections and things like that, all open access. World Reader, we have a partnership with World Reader. So all of our books are sent to them, and they format them so that they are readable within their app, which I believe makes them more accessible for people with older mobile phones. And I think it also means that they are on the tablets and the iPads and things, which World Reader distribute to libraries too. And of course, they're available on Google Books, and there are plenty more platforms that I've not listed here where our books are available. So basically, open access gives you huge numbers more readers and a greatly increased impact as a result. So what does it actually look like if you come to our website and you want to read a book? So I've chosen this one here. This one is called Tellings and Texts, and it's music, literature and performance in North India. So say you decided this book is interesting and you clicked on it. So as I've mentioned, if you were a library member, you will also have a banner at the top here, which had the details of your membership. And then you can see on this website, you've got the book page, you've got the multiple editions which we have available. And you can see there the PDF and the XML are just free to download. And if you were here as a library member, likewise, the EPUB and the MOBI would also be free in the same way. Although when you come to the library outside, when you come to the website outside of the library membership, you see that we charge for those. And likewise, the paperback and the hardback, you'd see the discounts applied if you were coming from the library member location. And then you've got those two books buttons below, read the PDF and read the HTML. So these takes you to our PDF reader online and our HTML reader online. So if you wanted, you could obviously download the PDF, read it, whatever. But if you wanted to read it on our website, this is what you would click. And if you clicked on that, this is what you would see. So you see this is laid out very much like a physical book. You've got the facing pages, you've got the images, you've got the footnotes. If you were to click on that and we were online, you would also see the page leaf over onto the next page. So it's set up very much like a digital facsimile of a physical book. But if you were to click on the HTML, then you see it like this, and this is much more. You still have, the same things you can see there. You still got the image. All of our books, the different editions are all drawn from the same master file. So there's no difference in terms of content. The difference is in terms of format. And so you can see here that the HTML is perhaps easier to read online. It's a bit cleaner. You've not got the sort of attempt to reproduce what a book looks like online. And so, they're the two main open access editions that we offer. But as I said, we also do publish physical books. This is a photograph taken a couple of months ago in our offices, just of some of the books of ours that we have on our shelves. Paperbacks and hardbacks, roughly between £15 for paperback and £30 for a hardback, which is much better than the 80 to 120 cost. And again, library membership gives you discounts on those prices. And then you have the digital editions too, which I've already talked about. So our books, we try to tap into this idea that open access is something which enables you to have a global readership, and as a result, it's something that we want a global authorship as well, as much as we can, and we want our books to be looking at things both from non-European perspectives and to be looking at issues that affect the world as a whole, rather than just from a global North tradition or from a Western tradition. So these are just a few examples of some of our titles that I think do that quite well. But I'm not going to talk through all of them, obviously, but just to kind of touch on a couple of them here. So non-communicable disease prevention, that's one that we published. It was either the beginning of this year or the very end of last year. And obviously, at the moment, we're all focused on a very communicable disease, unfortunately. But this one is focused on non-communicable diseases like heart disease, cancer, all those kinds of things. And it's aimed at policy officials, NCD program managers and decision makers in low and middle income countries who are trying to find ways to allocate to lessen the incidence of these diseases. So to these authors, the fact that it was going to be open access and that it's going to be globally available was really important to them. Conservation biology is another one where the open access element was crucial. This is the first open access textbook in this area. And the authors were very keen that it should be open access so that it can get as easily as possible to the people on the courses who need to read it. And this was published in September last year, and it's already been read and downloaded over 7,000 times. So it's sort of getting to its readership, we think, we hope, thanks to the fact that it's open access. And then other books on here, The History of International Relations. This is a book which deliberately takes a non-European perspective. And I actually edited this one, and as someone obviously who's been educated within a kind of European Western tradition, it was fascinating and quite sort of dislocating almost to read a book which deliberately writes about Europe the way that European historians often write about the rest of the world, in that it usually doesn't very much. And when it does, it's about how it's impinged on these other regions of the world, which
Lucy, sorry to interrupt. I think your voice is cutting out every now and then. Do you maybe want to switch off your video? It might be the internet connection.
Ah, right. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I thought it was just me, but someone else was saying it kept happening. Sometimes I can help. If there's the bottom left, there should be a stop video thing.
Okay. Let's see. I've got a big thing of my slides and then a tiny little Zoom menu, which is why I'm struggling slightly.
Let me see if I can. Oh, I could stop your video. There we go.
That's it. I think I've done it now.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. I hope that's
no problem. Hopefully that works.
Improved. Okay. So yeah. So the Sara Roncalia book, Feeding the City. That one is about the Mumbai Dabawalas, and that one has been read more in India than any other country, which is one thing that we are so quite excited when we get books like that, because a lot of our books tend to be read more in the UK and in the US, and then other countries sort of follow on from that. But this one's read more in India than anywhere else. So that's a success story, we think, in terms of the kind of global readership. And then Storytelling in Northern Zambia, that one is worth mentioning just because it includes embedded video content. So we try and use open access and its digital aspects to sort of open up what the book can be and what it can do. So we always have the physical editions, and we always include digital content as a link or as a QR code. But when you're thinking about open access, you're thinking about something online, you're thinking about something digital, you can embed audio. So in Storytelling in Northern Zambia, that's about these storytelling practices within these communities. So you have people who are engaging in that practice, who are videoed, who are part of the book. So that's both part of the argument, but it also makes the book a kind of resource of these practices. And since it's open access, it's freely available for those communities, to read and to view and to have as a resource. So we also have other things as well. We have zooming function is one thing we think we're looking at and using more, because a lot of our books have images which are important to the argument. So there's one that we have about Dickens and his working practices, and so we have manuscript images of his notes, and so you're able to zoom in close detail and look at the detail of the handwriting and things like that. You know, you might have, we're looking at the moment of where you have websites with database content, which people want it to become a physical book for various different reasons, and how can we enable that, and what does that look like? So if I'm saying that how might we make that argument to the wider world? So how do we say, right, it's really important that we get all these readers, that we get them from all around the world. How do we show that to people? So on every book page, we have this line to see how the book has been read around the world. Click here. And so this one, Oral Literature in Africa, this is part of the World Oral Literature Series, which Storytelling in Northern Zambia is also part of. And this book is it's kind of a great example. We often use it when we're talking about why open access matters. So this book published decades ago as a print book with a different publisher, and it fell out of print. And the author thought, well, I think this, this book is still of value. I want it to be out there. The publisher weren't interested, but they said, here, have the copyright back. Off you go if you want to try and republish it somewhere. So the author came to us. We had it peer reviewed. The peer reviewers agreed with the author. And so we published it in an open access format. And it's one of our most viewed books. And it's been viewed more in Africa than in any other continent. So again, this is one of those books where the sort of global nature of the readership is highlighted. So all of our books have this line to see how this book's been read around the world. Click here. So if you click on that link, then you're taken to a page with information like this. So this has basically all the readership broken down. You can see what's been downloaded, you can see what's been read online, you can see the different platforms. So this one here, our website is quite a big one, Google Books. Open Edition and World Reader are both important for this book. Open Edition as well for the downloads. And you can also see it's segmented by year. If we were online now, I could click into it and you could see it segmented by month as well. So we break it down in a fair amount of detail. And we have this map. So we don't have geographical data for all of our readers. So this is necessarily an incomplete picture. But for the geographical data that we do have, the darker countries are the countries where it's been read more. And again, if I was online, I could hover over the countries, and you would see the figures for the readership and the downloads in those countries. So this is one of the ways that we try to help readers and authors to visualize the impact that the open access books are having. So really just to talk a little bit about the future of open access books and about scholar-led and about COPIM and how we hope that those things are going to contribute to the future of open access books and contribute to growing the number of open access books that are published. So we're seeing more and more publishers are starting to publish open access in different ways. Those some of them, as I've said, charge authors, which we don't believe in as a model. We would like to see publishers move away from doing that. We're also seeing more open access publishers starting up, university presses, academic-led presses. We're seeing infrastructures beginning to be built to support that as well. And funders are beginning to mandate open access publication in different countries around the world. Particularly, there's a sort of focus on that in Europe at the moment. But the infrastructure is patchy. As I've said, there is a range of business models, some of them good, some of them bad. So how can we take what we do and grow it, basically? So we were thinking about this, and we were thinking, well, we could get bigger, which is one response, but it's a limited response. And another thing that we thought would be more powerful would be, could we collaborate with other publishers? Could we grow ourselves by collaboration and by working together? So the first thing that came out of that thought was this organization called Scholar-led. So Scholar-led is a consortium of 5 open access book publishers, which includes Open Book. You can see at the bottom there, these are the presses that are involved. All of us are not-for-profit, and all of us are academic-led presses. So we all share that background and that ethos. And we're looking at ways to develop collaborative approaches to grow and to strengthen open access book publishing. And the sort of biggest thing that has come out of that so far is the COPIM project. So the COPIM project is something that Scholar-led are part of. We represent the open access book presses within that partnership. But there are other people involved in COPIM as well. So there are universities and researchers. There are university libraries and librarians, and there are infrastructure providers as well. So COPIM stands for Community-Led Open Publication Infrastructures for Monographs, and that's quite unwieldy, and that's why we tend to call it COPIM. But the whole point behind COPIM is to build community-controlled open systems and infrastructures that will develop and will strengthen open access book publishing. So the idea is that it becomes, once these infrastructures are built, it becomes easier to publish and to disseminate and to discover open access books. So you've got different modules in COPIM looking at different aspects of this. So there's a module that looks at dissemination, that looks at metadata and discovery. There's a module that looks at funding. How can we get more channels to fund a greater number of open access books? There are modules that look at archiving. There are modules that look at experimental publication. So this is a project that's going to go on for the next 3 years. And the aim, as I've said, is to build these structures and systems, and for those to be open source and community governed. So we don't want to build something which one organization or one company is going to be able to control. We want to build something that a broad swathe of the academic community is going to have a say in controlling and in governing and saying, this is what it's doing, this is what it's for, these are the sorts of things that it wants to support. So as part of this involves a lot of conversations with different groups and different stakeholders within the academic community and within the publishing community, within the library community, all these different communities. And we're really keen with our member groups. We are really keen to hear from you to find out, how do you discover open access books within your library? How do you integrate them into your catalogues? How do you send readers to find them? How do you publish them yourselves? Does your institution publish open access books? If so, how do they do that? How do they disseminate them? What channels are they using? So we would really love it if you were willing to fill in our questionnaire. So there's the link there. And I think also Irina mentioned that it could be emailed out as well. So basically, we're really keen to enter into a dialogue with the EIFL member libraries. You know, this is a really great group, a huge group, which is brought together by EIFL. And so in this questionnaire, there are various different questions on the topics that I've mentioned, but there's also the option at the end, if you would like, to fill in your contact details so that we might get in touch with you to participate perhaps in future workshops or in phone interviews or more questionnaires. Obviously, with the current global situation, everything that we do in terms of workshops and meetings is online and remote participation. But actually, because COPIM is a global, well, it's certainly an international organisation. There are the universities and the publishers and things are from the US, from the UK, from Europe, so it's international. So any event that we do is going to have a remote participation component. And so we really want to kind of expand our thinking about who are we talking to, who are we bringing in, who is helping us to shape these infrastructures that we're building, which communities are they going to be able to serve. So if EIFL member libraries would like to be part of that conversation, we would love that. So that invitation is out there. And I think that's, oops, that's everything.
Thanks a lot, Lucy. And I will email more information about this survey to your emails and also to EIFL Open Access mailing list later today. Thanks a lot. So we already have one question from Marta. Lucy, can you talk a little more about commentary and text analysis for your books?
Sure. So this is something that we would like to expand. So we have, for example, one of our books, Daniel Nettle, Hanging at the Edges, I think it's called, is integrated with Hypothesis, which allows direct annotation. And there's another of our books by Hans Gabler, and text analysis is part of what he does. And so that book has been integrated with, I forget now the name of the platform, but if it should be on the book page if you go to Hans Gabler's, I think it's called Text Genetics and Literary Modernism. And basically what this program does is the book has been fed into it, and the book analyzes it in terms of which words are recorded, occur more often, all those sorts of things. So that's something that we've done in a kind of spotty way with some of our books, but we would really like it to be something that we do more, particularly working with Hypothesis, you know, for the books not just to be receptacles with information in them, but to be sites of discussion, places where authors and readers can come and can talk about what's there. So we're sort of thinking more about how we can facilitate that, because at the moment it's something that we've tried and hasn't got a huge amount of uptake, but it's something that we're hoping we'll be able to do more of. And if there are any proposals from authors, or if any librarians have ideas about how we might facilitate that with our books, we'd be really happy to hear about that.
Thanks. There is also a question from Christoph Schimmel. Do you think other forms of open access publishing, for example, handbooks, encyclopedias, journals, may benefit from the project's advancements?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. I mean, the idea behind COCOM is to set up infrastructures that can enable other publishers to sort of pick things up and run with them. So, you know, if there are presses or organizations or library publishers or whatever kind who are interested in doing that sort of work, then we hope that COCOM will create some of the tools and the systems that will enable them to distribute that. Certainly encyclopedias are an obvious one where, you know, I would think open access publication would be hugely beneficial and certainly very possible. So yeah, I think we hope that basically what we want to do is not to create systems which set people off on predetermined paths of here's what you can publish. We want to create flexible and modular infrastructures that will enable other people's ideas and innovation and creativity and activity to flourish.
Thanks. And a follow-up question from Christoph. Another question I've read on COPIM's website that one of your goals is to pursue the other publishers to change to not-for-profit publishing. Do you already have a strategy of pursuing on open access publishers to transform their models to your recommended ones?
Sure. So it's to persuade them to change to open access publication, not necessarily not-for-profit, although personally that is a model that I believe in very much. So yeah, we have a whole work package about converting business models, and we're actually recruiting at the moment. So if anyone knows anyone, we're looking as part of that that work package to have somebody in place whose job is to go into publishers who are interested in open access and want to get involved, but at the moment feel like their business model does not allow them to do that. To analyze their business model, to sit down with them and go into a lot of depth about their figures, and then to think with other members of the project and with researchers who you know, we also have researchers doing research into different types of business models, to come together and to say, right, how can we help these publishers to become an open access press? How can we address the issues that they have, the concerns that they have with their business model? And how can we, rather than just saying, oh, it's fine, just charge authors loads of money, obviously that's not fine, that's not the way to do it. How can we help them to shift their business model and to flip to open access? So I think there's one of the outcomes from that project, from that work package, is supposed to be to actually successfully achieve that for a couple of publishers, and for that to be a kind of model or blueprint for how other publishers might do the same thing. So yeah, so I think it's work package 3, and the details are on the COPIM website about you know, the kind of outline of what I've just sort of spoken about and how we hope to achieve that.
Thanks. There is also one more question from Marta. So you are thinking in terms of incorporating international standards like open citations, etc., into your books?
Is this for Open Book or for COPIM?
Yeah, maybe Marta, you should clarify whether it's for open book publishers or for COPIM. And maybe what?
I mean, I can certainly
for your HTML versions.
Okay, so the sort of technical aspects of that I'm less sure on, but I can put you in touch with Javi, with one of our staff who knows more about that. I mean, I know we integrate with Crossref, which may not be exactly what you're asking me about. And I know that from the technical side of things, there are a lot of conversations that go on about how we can, you know, how we can make sure that what we're doing is of a high standard, and also, you know, to kind of, yeah, basically to see what we can take from those more kind of broader efforts to sort of standardize and to set quality benchmarks for editions like HTML. There's also XML and other things like that, but it's not an area that I can speak directly to because it's not my expertise. So I can certainly put you in touch with someone who could speak more about that.
Thanks. Then we have a question from Winkle. Our library is not IFL member and we are not from non-OECD countries. Can we submit our IP address and OBP can monitor the usage statistics from our institution?
Yeah, that would be interesting to look at and see if we could set it up. I mean, certainly you can email, there's libraries@openbookpublishers.com. And sort of if you could just sort of lay out in that email what, you know, how you would sort of envisage that work.
I think they're essentially asking to get the OBP library membership benefits, although they're not an IFL member. So I assume that generally you would charge libraries, or maybe you can look at where they're based. I don't know who Winkle is and which country he's from, but
Likely for the
yeah.
No, but I think this question is only about statistics, about getting usage statistics.
Yeah, but that was one of the benefits, is that you can you submit your IP addresses, you get the, oh yeah, you can just monitor the statistics.
I mean, if people want, we're always you know, interested in getting as much information about the readership of our books as we can. So if there's a way to set that up, then we've been doing that.
Then there is a question from Mohammed from Palestine. Kindly, how many ebooks do you have in your site as full text?
So all of our ebooks are full text, and I think we've published, I think I'm right in saying over 140 books, and all of those are in multiple editions. They're not all in all 5 or 6 editions, but they're all in an open access edition, usually PDF and HTML, and I think they're almost all in EPUB and Mobi as well, certainly in EPUB. So yeah, so we have, they're all full text, they're all the entire book.
And then Tom Grady is asking, hi, Tom from White Rose University Press here. Thanks for this, Lucy. I'm interested to know if you have experienced any problems with the flow of metadata in OBP books. We have found that, for example, Director of Open Access Books might pick up slightly different author details to JSTOR, and then that might be different again on other portals' discovery tools. Has this been a problem for you?
Yes, so again, this isn't my precise area of expertise, but I know that this is something which is an issue for us too, and I think for a lot of open access presses. And so one of the aspects of COPIM actually, which OBP is involved with quite closely, is package 5, which is discovery and dissemination, and it's precisely about this issue of metadata and how can we you know, send our metadata, how can it be converted into the many different formats it needs to be efficiently and effectively, and how can that be sent to the right places who take that particular type of metadata, and can, you know, can we make sure that that's giving them the information that they need. So again, that's not something that I can talk about in depth because it's not my area of expertise, but if you wanted to contact Javi at OpenBook, he would be able to talk about that in a bit more detail.
Thanks. And Nina Chacho from Ghana is asking about peer review of potential monographs. Can you speak a bit more? Can you speak a bit more about this process? Who is involved? Yeah,
sure. So what we ask authors to do is to submit a proposal to us using a form on our website, and then that's reviewed internally. We have a board which reviews the proposals and decides if they think that they're you know, serious and worth sending out for peer review. And if we decide that they are, then we ask the author for the full manuscript, and then the full manuscript is sent to at least 2 and usually 3 experts in the field, who then submit reports to us with their opinion on the book. You know, is it should we publish it? Should we decline? Are there things that the author should change? And then with those reports, the board sits down, makes a decision, and tells the author, yes, we'd like to publish, please do these things, or no, sorry, not this time. So it's a fairly traditional peer review process. And as I've said, that's what determines whether or not we publish the book.
Thanks. And another question from Christoph. In what way are the members of the Scholar-led consortium collaborating apart from the COPIM project? Is there some other mutual support?
Yeah, so the COPIM project is something that we started working on quite soon after we sort of officially formed. So that's been the sort of major place where we've poured our energies recently. But we also set up a kind of mobile conference stand, which each member press has a sort of a copy of, or a box with it in. And it basically showcases all of our different books. It's almost like a kind of, there's different formats of almost like catalogues. So we have physical postcards with the book jackets on front and back, and we have USB sticks with all of our books on, and we have kind of basically a uniform visual identity that we can then present at conferences. We were also thinking about together, you know, are there issues that we might want to take a collective stand on? And this isn't something that we've really explored yet, but we think that there's strength in numbers in terms of being a voice for open access book publishing. You know, that if there's just one of us making an argument about something, that's all fine and well, but there's kind of strength in numbers, and I think it also helps to persuade people that you're not in open access because you want to make a ton of money, or because you see a commercial advantage for your company. That if we speak as a community and as a collective, there's a kind of ethical power to that as well, I suppose. So to answer the question, there are other things that we've been doing, but on a much smaller scale than COPIM, and we're currently thinking about how can we continue activities like that beyond COPIM, given that COPIM is currently taking up a lot of our time and a lot of our energy.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, and maybe if you have one, please type it in Q&A or in a chat. And I also wanted to ask, do you see any other ways how you might be, I don't know, collaborating, joining forces with open access book publishers in other countries? Because I can see that many of them are on this call. So some of them are libraries running university presses, some of them are publishers. What do you think would be the best strategy for us to, I don't know, maybe collaborate on certain issues?
So this is interesting. This is something that we're trying to think more about. We've got a very fledgling thing called the Open Access Book Network, which is something that we're trying to kind of put some energy and some organisational heft behind. There is us, there's Operas, there is Spark Europe, and there's a couple of others, mostly European networks at the moment. But we're having conversations about, you know, how can we create a platform that allows a much broader discussion about open access books to take place, which doesn't necessarily just involve European libraries and presses, but reaches wider than that. We're thinking about, can we have forums? Could we organise conferences or events? I mean, obviously there are things at the moment like OASPA and organisations like that which do good work in this area, but we think there might be space for something more focused on books and open access book publishing. So, I mean, if there are people on the call who are interested in that idea, then by all means drop me a line and let me know, because we'd be really keen to expand that conversation. And I think in general, you know, we're quite a small outfit, and so we're sort of doing what we can at the moment with COPIM and Scholar Led, but that's not to say that we aren't interested in having any other conversations. We absolutely are. It's just in terms of how much we can do as one organisation. So if you've got ideas, if there's something you want to start and you would like us to be part of it, or if you know you think that together we might be able to have a better conversation or a bigger conversation, or to you know, to work on something, by all means let us know, and we're always open to have those conversations. So yeah, please get in touch with me if you would like to talk about that.
Thanks a lot, Lucy. Yeah, and I think that's something that we'd like to follow up. And then maybe when you have some more developments in COPIM project, we can do another webinar with some updates. It's really impressive what you are doing.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, so I guess that's the last chance for you to ask if you have any. And
I just have one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
yeah, please
I was on mute. Started talking. Just wanted to go back because I know there's some people on this call that are from the OECD countries or non-OECD countries. If you go back to your slide, maybe with the list of countries, so I know there's a few EIFL countries that are excluded from that. And originally, when we signed the MOU, there was no exclusion of countries. And I'm sorry actually that I didn't ask about this before, but I think there's a few like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania that might be OECD countries. Can you clarify maybe, because I tried to look this up and I didn't really get a clear answer on
Oh, right,
where
okay.
the distinction came from.
So I went to Javi and had a word with him about which countries have been set up, and that was where I got this list from.
Okay.
So if there are people that are missing from it, then yeah, let's have a conversation about that.
Okay, because I know some of them are on here, so I'll just follow up then with you and let everyone know afterwards.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, that's everything for me. Unless Irina's putting some information in the chat. Yeah, Emilia, I've seen that you were not on the list. Okay, we'll clarify that via email afterwards. But thanks so much, Lucy. That was really good.
Thank you. Sorry about any technical issues that might have happened.
No,
I'm working from home on home internet,
I
so
know.
the connection is
I'm hoping that in the recording it won't show up and it will just be clear. So if people go back, yeah, it's just a couple of times. It's just like a half a sentence or something. So I think we got the gist.
Well, if there's anything anyone wants clarifying, then by all means feel free to email me.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Lucy.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.